25 or 30 fruit trees.
In 3/4 of an acre.
Yeah, and so the fruit trees sort of combine with the annual beds to be a very productive little area. This is another pear tree here.
Yeah.
Chocker full of pears. Mostly that'll be pumpkin. It did have some coriander and that in there, and that's all been picked out now, and so now the pumpkin just gets to spread in there. And all through there is all citrus as well. If you can see a little citrus in there.
Yeah.
There's a heap of little citruses growing up in there.
And that's all sugarcane, right?
No, it's Bana grass, actually, B-A-N-A.
Yeah.
So, up there where you are, sugarcane would grow. It doesn't go so well down here.
Yeah.
We're not quite tropical enough, but Bana grass does a similar job. And once again, it's really good stock feed. You know, in drought times and that, we chop it for everything here. Really goes well on the Bana grass. But in the meantime, it's a windbreak primarily. And it's also a sort of a weed barrier for any weed that comes. So you've got the casuarinas as a primary windbreak, and then you sort of mess into. But this is Three Sisters. Have you heard of the Three Sisters Guild?
Nope.
Okay, so it's a Native American thing. The corn is matched with beans. And so what happens is the beans fix nitrogen because the corn's a gross feeder.
Yeah.
And so, but what it also does is the bean grows through there, and one of the problems with corn is the wind will knock it over.
Yeah.
But with the beans growing through it, it helps to support it.
Great.
And then on the ground you've got squash. So the squash actually covers the ground while the bean is growing, and the corn. So the three of them, it's called the Three Sisters, and they support each other. It's a classic traditional companion planting. That's an 80,000 litre tank, and we fill it with a solar pump from the dams down the front. We've also got 2 ponds there that we pump from for irrigation, you know, that sort of makes us self-sufficient in water. We don't do any access from aquifers or rivers or anything like that. We don't think it's sustainable anyway to have horticulture on that, so we run totally on rainfall and rely on, you know, really good soil storing most of the moisture, and it usually does. The system here is this centre bed. It's got a pond in it, and that's all habitat for beneficials. So, you know, it's got piles of logs and rocks and things for frogs and lizards and little birds and that to all be feeling comfortable and at home. This is our compost.
Yummy.
And so we that could invariably have a snake under it too.
Look at the worm ball.
Oh yeah.
It's
So this is fairly new compost, this one. It's got a long way to go yet. But
so you do like greens, browns,
yeah,
food scraps.
Yeah, lasagna method, and just build it up. But what the key to this is that we don't move it. So we make it, and then it sits there for 3 months, and then we use it.
So you don't roll it?
No. It sounds too much like hard work.
Yeah. Hey.
No, the real reason is that if you do turn it over, you oxidise it and you don't get the humus build up. So leaving it set for itself, you build up humus.
Yeah.
Alright, dude, let's move these chooks.
Great.
Intestinal worms and that sort of thing.
6 months from here,
Until
One-
they get back to there. So
one time around.
yeah.
You said
So that's
8.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So it's 12 weeks on each bed, and there's 2 on each mandala, and there's 2 mandalas, so it's 24 weeks until they get back to the spot that they just left.
That's a new one?
Yeah. Yeah, that one that is over there is really destroyed. They're now 15 years old and they're starting to get beyond being repaired. So we make a new one.
Simple structure, hey?
Yeah.
What is those? What are those?
That's electrical conduit. Yeah, 20 mil electrical conduit. It's very cheap. It's better if you can afford it to use high pressure piping from plumbers, but this is a lot cheaper.
Probably like half price, hey?
Yeah, at least half price. Yeah. The other stuff will last a bit longer if you look after it. So this here is our community allotments. So we've given over a part of the farm and people can come and get a 30 square plot to grow their food in. And there's sort of food in various stages throughout here.
It's really nice from you guys. Really kind.
Well, it's part of that sort of sense of community that's, and it's sort of within the permaculture ethic to share your excesses. So we've got an excess of land, and that's my private airport. That's my brother flying out.
Yeah. Where's he going? Uluru.
Yeah, so this is this plot here is where we make our biodynamic preparations. It's looking a bit. There's actually nettle preparation 504 in that hole.
You covered it.
Yeah, I just surrounded it. Yeah, but it needs a bit more moisture.
That's where the nettle goes?
Yeah.
Nettle
Yeah,
is
so
great.
in the bottom of that hole there are 4 or 5 clay pipes full of stinging nettle, and they stay there for 12 months under the ground, and then you pick them up and it's sort of black humusy stuff. Very important for promoting a balance of iron in your soil and that big pit. And this is cowpad pit, so this is another one of the preparations. We put that down yesterday.
Fresh.
So it stays in there, yeah, it stays in there for 3 months and it comes out transformed.
So do you do anything to it?
This, not anymore, no. We mixed it for an hour with eggshells and basalt dust, and then we put the compost preparations in, and it sits there. We'll keep an eye on it and we might fluff it up a bit or something. But this is-
Eggshells and basalt.
Oh, crikey. What's happened here? We've actually established a sun trap. Can you see how we've planted trees on the eastern, the southern and the western sides?
Yes.
And so, and the northern side is open. So that's where the winter sun comes from, into here. But in the morning when the sun comes from the east, it's reflected off those trees and back into there, the light is. And the same in the afternoon, the sun's reflected off those trees and back in there. So you get a microclimate in there that's really good for the animals and for the growth of pasture and plants and that sort of thing. So very simply, by planting around like that, you've created a trap for the sun, and you've modified the climate. And so we've done it for these 3 paddocks here, including around the mandalas. You might have noticed that was a similar sort of thing, but that's a sun trap.
Sun trap.
Yeah, very, very economical way to boost production.
And I love the efficiency of that construction over
The
there.
containers.
So, yes.
Yeah.
That's gonna inspire.
I did my PDC with Bill Monson up at Murwillumbah.
Yeah.
And then I was teaching the PDC with another lady in Dungog.
Dungog is where?
About an hour west of here, I suppose, northwest of here.
So even drier.
Hmm?
Even drier.
Yeah, maybe. But Kate was a student on one of those courses, one permaculture courses we ran, and
That's a great way to meet.
it is a good way to meet. Yeah. That's the way Jeff Lawton met his wife.
Ah, yeah. Interesting. Have you been at Zaytuna Farm?
Yeah, we did a teacher training there, mostly just for the holiday, but we went up there and did their teacher training course.
How long ago?
Oh, a long time now. Long time.
Must have changed a lot.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah,
So this here is where we milk the cow.
So you have a cow
Yeah, we've got a cow, a milking cow.
and you drink the milk?
Yes, yeah. And make cheese. And that container there is our dairy shed, so that's where we make the cheeses and store the milk and that sort of thing. She's dried up now, so we're not milking at the moment.
Because everything is so dry?
No, just because of the cycle. She's very pregnant and she's due to have a calf in January.
Her first calf?
No, third calf, her third calf. And we will be milking again then.
And you're giving the calves away?
Yeah. We have an arrangement with a guy who brings the bull,
Yeah.
and he owns the calf. He brings the bull. So there's Molly down there next to the dam,
Next to the pony.
and the little pony is the mate for her. Yeah.
She's
We
really
had 2
pretty.
cows, but
She's
through the
beautiful.
drought we couldn't feed them both, so we got rid of one. So we keep them rotating, just like we do the chook domes, you know.
Yes.
So depending on the season, they have 2 or 3 days in each cell, and then they move on. There's my geese next door.
Your geese.
Yeah, that's very cheeky.
They want to get wet.
Yeah. Well, the dam's just there. These ones have just been swimming in the dam, but those ones there look like they're after the green grass or something.
They're really wild and free, hey?
Yeah, they roam a fair bit. 2 dams there, and normally we pump, as I say, we have a solar pump that sits on a post down there. Panels sit on a post, and while the sun's shining, it pumps water up to them ponds up the back into that tank.
So one dam there.
And another one just next to it, a bit lower.
Yeah, I see.
This one here's still got water in it. This one here's pretty dry. The dams are really part of a lake system, so the water across there and out there, that's all part of one lake. And in days gone by, the lake sort of came up here as well. If you look on the map, that's all part of a lake. And in the distance is a housing development.
Yeah, we can see it. Crazy.
When we first got here, we had the dams cleaned out, and the sludge and mud and stuff from that came up, and we plonked it here so that all that fertility could make its way slowly down the slope again.
Wow.
After that, we put in the swale, so there's a swale that runs right across the property there.
Down there, is that right?
Yeah, we can. So any water from up here collects in the swale and sinks into the ground, see? So it goes all the way to the driveway over there and all the way out to that boundary fence there. And it's a little bit choked with weeds at the moment.
Yeah.
That they will eat first of all emerging plants. So if you leave them there for too long and the plant starts to grow again, they'll say, "Oh, that's lovely stuff," and they'll eat it, and
Yeah.
the plant doesn't develop.
Yeah.
So if you rotate them around, you know, if they're not on there for any longer than 3 days and the plant hasn't started to regenerate, you get them out of there, allow that plant to express itself, and you then that, you know, they can come back onto it whenever the plant has regrown. And it once again breaks that cycle of intestinal things, you know. If they did have any intestinal worms and they pooped it out there, the worm would go into the ground through its cycle, and then it'd come back out looking for a cow. But when it comes back out, that takes about 3 months. When it comes back out, the cow's gone. So, you know, it breaks the cycle.
It can't take over the cow.
Yeah. So just down there we've got a little olive grove.
Yeah.
There's some other fruit trees and that down there on the swale.
Growing on top of the swale.
Yeah.
How old is the swale?
5 years old, I suppose. Nutrients and the oxygen from the plants kills any pathogens that might be in the water.
Yes, that's a great idea.
It's looking a bit parched at the moment too. We had to design it for students as well, so when we don't have students, we don't have the water usage.
Yes.
To keep the reeds.
Yeah. And with the compost toilets, you spread them around the fruit trees?
No. What we do is we trench it and put the human manure in a trench and plant a windbreak. So all of these windbreaks and that, they're all on top of human manure.
What's your opinion of growing food around human manure?
When you see the stuff, you think it's just beautiful compost and soil. And so if someone told me that it was fine to spread it around, I would agree with them. But we take it that one step further and get it under the ground. The same as the grey water, you know.
Yes.
If it's out in the atmosphere and there are pathogens, you can breathe them. If it's under the soil, it's still doing a great job, and it can't cause any trouble.
And that's why you put the rocks there.
Yeah. So this is the dairy shed. It's not really functioning at the moment because the cows drive it. Normally we have this is a little cheese cave that keeps the cheeses at a certain temperature whilst they're maturing. And you know, we've got all the gear to do it all in here. And
smells great in here. dairy.
I guess the containers are just a way to keep stuff together, you know. So
Yeah.
sort of the bee gear's there,
Yeah,
the dairy gear's there, and
you really split it great into zones. Yeah,
mm.
little
And
workshops.
and that's something that's worth mentioning is, you know, we've sort of had a look at the whole of the farm, but really all we've done is walk around the house. You know, sort of the walking around the house, and we've covered most of everything we do here, and you
It's
know, that's an important way of setting up a design so that you maximise your function without your effort.
without expanding too far.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All the best.